Hello and welcome to another episode of The Other Side of Sales. I'm Kasey Jones.
And I'm Ashleigh Early.
And today we are going to be talking about your network. Okay. So some tactical advice on how to grow your network. And we're going to talk in a future episode about how you grow your network with potential mentors and other leaders. But right now, we really want to talk about how do you grow your network with your peers. And let me be really clear about why this is such a important topic for me and really for Ashleigh also. Hello, that's how this whole freaking podcast started.
Just a bit.
This is how, it's us doing following the advice we're going to give you that kind of led to all of this. And I will also say it is this advice that led to me having such incredible support when I went through my attack at the beginning of the summer. It was literally the people that I met through sales events and LinkedIn that pulled out all the stops. And so let's be very clear that growing your network and growing a powerful network with real relationships, it can help your career, but it can also help your personal life in like a million different ways. And it just makes life and work a whole lot more fun.
Well, and I think to that end, you and I were talking before we hit record. One, I can give you a million stories about how having a network has saved my butt and saved my career. But Kasey, to a point that you made before we started, this really isn't just about growing your career. This is really a tactic to control your sanity, because if all of your friends, if all of your network, the people you talk to, the people that you're exposed to are employed by the same company as you or have nothing to do with your career, the people who have nothing to do with your career will never understand your job because they can't. It's okay.
Yep.
God bless them. We need to get out of this sometimes, but they will never understand. So when you need that sanity check, you have no one to go to.
Yep.
And two, as somebody who has gone through several layoffs, when you go through a layoff, the people who are at your company who aren't laid off basically stay with the person who you're divorcing. I compare a layoff to a divorce. And when you get divorced, there's this idea of the friends you'll lose in the divorce because they stay with the spouse you left.
Yep.
When you get laid off, all the employees that stay behind at the company, you lost in the divorce. They may love you, but they're never going to be able to interact with you in the same way. A, because you're not seeing them anymore. And B, because the company's still paying them and they're not paying you. So the only way you'll keep them really as good friends is A, if you've got a really strong relationship, or B, they happen to be laid off at the same time as you. So,
and the other thing too, to quickly mention is just like we've uncovered in the State of Sales survey, if you wind up going through an experience where you are discriminated against, if you are harassed at work, it is very, very hard to go to your coworkers and talk to them about it. And especially if it's one of those kind of gray areas where at first you're like, was this inappropriate what this person at work did to me? Being able to go to somebody who works in a similar industry, works in sales as well, but doesn't work at your company. So you can say, hey, what would you do if this happened? That can be one of the most helpful things. And especially if you wind up, going out on your own. Ashleigh and I have done this with each other and with other kind of entrepreneurs a million times where you're like, hey, client did this. What the heck do I do? Or
am I nuts?
Like,
did I create this
situation? And it is a godsend. So hopefully we have made it very, very clear why this is so important.
So how do we do this?
And first, who? Okay, whom do you want to connect with, right? And the big thing, and I cast a little bit of a wide net for this. I literally think you want to connect with and you want to become friends with anybody that like you see on social media, you see out there, you see at an event that seems like a freaking interesting human. We often think that you have to have this like really specific reason. And I will say this is a stereotype, but I think women do this more than men do. Yes. I get way more just random connection requests from men and women always have a message. They always justify why they are reaching out, all of these things. It's okay to just send a message and be like, hey, I loved that post you made, or you see your profile is so interesting. Like, I just find you seem like an interesting person and I wanted to connect. That's okay. And truly, some of my closest friends in life have come through that. So if you see someone online, you see someone and you're like, wow, they're an interesting person, connect with them.
Yep. I think probably one of the best friends I've made this year. We commented on each other's posts a couple times, and literally the connection request was something along the lines, and I don't remember who sent it, but we sent each other a connection request, said something along the lines of, hey, we agree on a lot of stuff. We should be friends. And like, that was it. It was super easy. And now this is somebody who I'm talking to multiple days a week. Like,
yeah. And you know, when that stuff happens, man, it feels so good and it feels so exciting. And the thing that's also really interesting is when somebody, yeah, you have things in common, but they have a different job or they work in a different industry, you can learn so much. You get out of your
bubble.
I'm only like, and especially if you're a salesperson that sells to salespeople,
Yeah.
all too often, all you do is think about sales, and learning about something completely different. It helps you get more creative and kind of break out of your sort of rut. So be willing to cast a wide net, but make sure there is some actual connection. There is some actual sort of mutual interest. Ashleigh brought up a really great point before we hit record about, you know, if you work at a big company, you don't need to go send a connection request to literally every person at the company.
LinkedIn
Like
will
the
prompt you
engineer.
to.
Yeah.
Don't.
Yeah. The engineer that you've never talked to works in a different city and you will probably never interact with. You're maybe not going to get that much out of that one.
Well, and more to the point, like, okay, it's easy to go, and especially as salespeople, we think, oh, well, this person could give me an intro someday, or this person could help me with this, or this person could. You can always reach out to them later and say, hey, we both worked at XYZ at the same time. Sorry, we never met. I'm trying to get a job at your company. Would you mind putting my resume in? Like, no one's really going to say no to that in the age of referral bonuses. But you can always add these things later. You don't need to add it now. Don't prioritize your time. You're better off going and finding people who work at your competitor and who are in a similar role to you and reaching out to them. And I'll be honest, this is something, I'll even give you a pro tip. I would even send them a message. Hey, I'm in this role at this company. We're competitors. Let's connect so we can keep tabs on each other in the spirit of friendly competition.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, I'm going to say yes to that. That's hysterical and really cool.
And you have no idea what that will lead to. So it is really always worth it. Okay. So some really, really easy ways that you can do this. Okay. We've given you some examples already. It's really simple. Just reaching out and be like, hey, you seem like an interesting person, or I really like that post that you did. Oh, I noticed that we've worked at competitive companies for a while. There's a million things. It doesn't have to be urgent.
It can even be as simple as, hey, I'm trying to build my network of fellow sales pros.
Yeah.
You know, as long as you don't do the standard LinkedIn suggested we connect, or I see we have some of the same interests, as long as you don't do a stupid generic message like that, which, by the way, if you're going to write a message like that, honestly, don't write a message at all. Just send them a connection request with no explanation and then send them a message afterwards. Like, just like selling, the reason for my call is, the reason for my connection is, the reason can be as simple as, I'm trying to build my network of awesome people. You seem awesome. Can we connect? And this isn't, I should be clear. I feel like this is a good thing to mention here too. This is not just LinkedIn. This is Discord. This is Slack. This is, I don't even know where the cool kids are hanging out these days.
Twitter, Instagram.
Twitter.
TikTok? I don't know. I'm not active on TikTok. Do you become friends on TikTok? I have no idea.
Do you follow? Yeah, I'm not touching TikTok. I can barely do LinkedIn video. I can't learn any more social networks.
But truly it is you can make very real friendships in this way.
Mhm.
And I will say I have made a bunch of friends on Twitter using this exact same method. It's look, people are on social media because they want to connect with other people. And so as long as you seem human and as long as you seem like a good person, people are going to connect with you. And let me be very clear. If you are connecting with someone who seems like a pretty busy person, do not take it personally if they do not immediately respond to you or that they don't respond to you the first time.
100%.
It's okay to then send another message. It's fine.
Especially if you acknowledge, hey, LinkedIn's inbox sucks. Twitter,
Yes.
I know, isn't great at alerting you when you get a DM.
Yes.
Did you notice I tagged you in this thing? Especially if you acknowledge, hey, I know you're busy. I know you don't have a lot of time to give. Totally fine. I don't know many influencers that will get pissed at you for using your lovely sales skills and following up. That said, if you're rude about it, and I've seen some hysterical threads where somebody reaches out, asks a favor of a major influencer. And we're not talking about influencers, but asks a favor of a stranger, and then gets really pissy when they don't respond immediately. Like, don't become someone who can show up on Reddit under entitled beggars or choosing beggars.
I have had messages where I've actually followed up and I've said, and I've responded and been like, hey, sure, happy to help you with something. Answer this question. And then they never answer it. And then like a year later, they respond to a marketing email from my company, like, Kasey's so mean. She never responded to me. And I was like, okay. So don't be that guy.
Yeah. And that's just for people. That's, again, it's like, seem like a human being. Yeah. Be respectful.
Yes. And know that the world doesn't revolve around you. And so don't take things personally if you don't get the response that you want in a specific time frame. And it's okay. But truly, like, most of the time, you're going to get a response. People are going to feel flattered that you reached out, especially if you do make it personal, and you can take it from there. And so, okay, how do you take it from there?
So here's like something I've started doing. And this is especially because I am one of those crazy busy people. I'm not, I still don't consider myself a thought leader or whatever, although some people do. Somebody today called Kasey and I celebrities, and I thought that was absolutely hysterical. God bless them. So thank you to anyone who thinks that. I really appreciate it. And I'm
keep on drinking the Kool-Aid.
Yes, please have another cup of Kool-Aid. But one, never be afraid of compliments. As silly and random as they seem, compliments are always a good thing, as long as they're genuine and meant from the heart.
Here's the deal. Be willing to be effusive first. Like, I know this with pretty much all of my like girlfriends that I've met through social media. One of us is willing to, for the first time, just be like say something really kind, say how much we appreciate one another, be kind of affectionate. And all of a sudden we go from being like kind of social media acquaintances to like actual friends. And it's a huge shift and it's amazing.
Yeah. And so I think compliments, I love the idea, be effusive. That's fantastic. And it's people will mirror. We know this. Mirroring works. People respond. People will usually, especially if it's a compliment, people will mirror it back harder than you gave it out. Yeah. So mirror is good. Two is the second thing I suggest, and this is an idea I've started doing with a lot of different training. I took some, yes, I was on a competitive improv team for 5 minutes when I was a teenager. We'll talk about that later. But one of the things they talk about in improv is this idea of when you're doing an improv set, you never say no, because saying no ends a sentence, ends the idea. What you want to do is you want to say yes and. So somebody says, wow, why is your hair so blue? My hair is blue because I did this crazy thing and I'm thinking about adding purple streaks. I don't know, whatever. But the point is, yes and. See, Henry agrees, yes and. But when you're networking, it's fantastic because what you can do is somebody asks you a favor. Yes, I would love to do you that favor. And here's something else I think I can do that will help you out.
Exactly. And look, here's the deal. It's all about building a relationship. So think about all of the different ways you can do that. A big thing too is if you did connect on social media, make sure to engage with their content. So one of the things that I do, because I find my LinkedIn feed very noisy and there's lots of stuff in there that I kind of don't care about. So what I've done is I have a bookmark folder that has a link to the posts section of a bunch of my friends and a bunch of other people. And I go in and for 15 or 20 minutes every day, I just pull up a bunch and I comment on their most recent thing. So also engage with them, amplify them, be willing to ask in that DM thread, hey, is there anything you're working on right now that you're really excited about that I can help with or that I can help amplify?
And that's an important question, because one of the things, it's
Yeah.
not just about reaching out and saying, I love this post, thank you for sharing. It's about adding something a little bit constructive. And
Yes.
two, I started doing that when I mentioned I was a busy person. One of the things I started doing, because I got the feedback over the summer that I was asking a lot, but I wasn't giving a lot, I started reaching out every day to 5 people and saying, how can I help?
Yeah.
Now, how can I help is really generic. Some people will be like, yes, please, can you amplify this? Can you do this? Can you do that? A lot of people, even today, if you ask me, how could I help? It would take me a second to think of something you could help with.
Yeah.
So asking what's something you're really excited about is
Yes.
much more likely to get someone to say, oh, I'm doing this really cool thing. And then you can start brainstorming, hey, would it be helpful if? So having a
And
little more discussion-based question, big help.
yeah, and you learn about them.
Yeah.
You learn what they're excited about. And so it's a thing that really helps kind of make those connections. And the other thing to do is also be open to referring other people to them or them to other people. There is, and I will say, this is like one of the most satisfying things ever for me, is connecting the dots.
Yes.
So introducing friends of mine or connections of mine that I think have something in common and I think would like each other, find value with each other. There is nothing more exciting for me when I do that and then they become friends and I get to take the credit. So
yeah.
do that and like be willing to make those connections for people in your life, because it will pay dividends for you and it will feel very satisfying. And every time they get together, they're going to remember that you put them there.
Yeah. And I'll give you, I'm going to give a little story here, because
Yeah.
this is probably one of the top, I don't know, 2 or 3 things I've done this year. Sales Loft, who was one of our sponsors on the State of Sales Survey, does a big annual conference every year. And I was really honored. Someone there asked me, hey, because of this thing we're doing with the State of Sales Survey, you guys seem to have a really good pulse on some really great speakers. We want to add some diversity to our lineup. And I referred them to one of their keynotes, one of the people they eventually ended up using as their keynote, and seeing this person's face on all of the marketing collateral and attending their session and hearing them say thank you. And I think I wasn't the only person that referred them. I think a couple people referred this person, but
that feels good.
Oh my gosh, it's such a high. It's like, okay, am I making any money off this? No, this is so much better than money. Seeing this person who I know is amazing, getting this incredible platform and having all these additional people know about them is, you talk about connecting the dots. That's not connecting the dots. That's watching someone achieve a dream.
Absolutely.
Was really, really, really meaningful at a very, very deep level. And that's starting the same year I started my own business and I closed all this revenue and I've done all these really great things. That's still top 2 or 3 things I've done this year that every time I saw it, I was like, I helped with that. I did that. That's cool. So
yeah,
this is a peer.
So
this is all about getting, basically, like, I'm thinking sales squad, sales friends, like squirrel friend, but sales friends. This is all about building out your sales friends who can be that sanity check, who can be the support, who can lift you up, you can lift them up to just be there for you along your sales career. This is not about, although it'll happen, it will be a side effect, getting you your next job, closing more business.
It's huge.
Doing all this other stuff.
Absolutely huge. Yeah. And it makes life and work just a whole lot more fun.
Yeah.
So if you have any other ideas or tactics or things that you've done, please find us on social and share these ideas with us. Or if you've just got a great story of how you connected with someone and you built your sales squad, we would love to hear it. And thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with friends and share it on social, and go to iTunes or Apple Podcasts, and give us a review. We'd appreciate it so much. And of course, the results of the State of Sales survey are live. Go to othersideofsales.com and go find it, download it, read it. It'll blow your mind.
It really will. And I'm going to take it one step further. Once you've read it, share it with your squad.
Yes.
Please, please, please. The more discussion we can get, the better, the easier it is to move things forward. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share this with your sales squad. Heck, send a recording of this episode to someone you want to connect with. Tell us how that goes. Would love to thank you for listening to another episode of The Other Side of Sales. And we will hear you and see you next week.